Well, they're not in yet. Quite a successful group.
Yeah.
Even I know their stuff. They have a residency. Is it at the Mirage? I wonder if it's still happening. Yes, they're returning next week. I saw signs for those guys. Joanne, who's a buddy of mine and ours, is Mike Tyson's publicist, and she's also their publicist. And I was invited to see their show last week, but I couldn't go.
Should I tell them when they come in? I'm like, you can use whatever language you want. Not too hard, but not too soft.
I like that.
I would like you to say that a lot.
Yeah?
It would be great if you said that and then just shot yourself.
Just pulled his shotgun out from the butt.
No, a pistol. Like, what a weird moment.
Just pull the Bud Dwyer, pull it out of the bag.
Yeah.
And they just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But then none of us batted an eye, and they all were like, what the fuck? And I'm like...
You just started the interview.
Yeah, so listen, the member who left, what was behind him leaving? Like, you could see we just had a member leave our show.
Not too soft.
What are some of their other big songs? Oh, here they come. Okay, I recognize these
End
guys.
of the Road?
Yeah.
Still I can't.
Yes, I know that one too. 2, 3, 4.
Oh, what you loud?
No, just want to take it wrong.
Too loud.
Hi, guys.
Sorry.
Welcome.
Boys to Men are coming in.
What's happening, man?
What's going on?
How you, man?
We are on the air. How are you?
Nice to see you.
How you doing, man?
What's up, man?
How are you, sir?
What's going on?
How you feel?
We're live.
good.
We're
Hello.
live.
Live?
Why you
Yes.
concentrating so
My
much over there in the corner?
I tell you why,
Sit down.
because you guys are coming in, so I'm making sure that all the microphones
Nah,
are on.
don't worry about that. We don't care if we're
You're
heard.
on.
It doesn't matter, right?
Nah, it's all good, man.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, there you go.
Microphone.
Now, that's what we come here to do.
Yeah.
I am breaking stuff.
We come here
Okay.
to break
You're
the
on. Let's
mold.
just make sure I didn't fuck this up. Are you on too, sir?
Oh, that's right. This
Hello,
Sirius
hello.
XM, so you can cuss and shit.
Yes.
You can.
something that
Yeah, we don't advocate that.
You can.
If they slip by mistake, but that's not.
Oh yeah,
We're
that
pro enough.
that just slipped.
Where are you guys? I was just in Vegas and I saw the sign for you. Is it the Mirage where you are?
Yes,
That's
sir.
it.
Yes, sir. We are in the Mirage Hotel and Casino for the last 4.5 years. We have another 2.5 years left.
Yeah.
Wow.
So do you like a residency? I always wondered if it gets
Love it.
boring.
It's awesome.
It doesn't.
Love it.
Yeah.
In this
Love
business,
it.
stability of any type is a great thing.
And the fact that before that we used to do a bunch of international travel like every single week. So the fact that we got a venue where everybody comes from all around the world to one room every weekend is a different crowd. It's a beautiful thing.
That's got to be pretty great.
Oh, it's great.
yeah, of
It's great.
So what do you do? Do you guys all just live in Vegas now?
No, we fly
commute.
back and forth. We commute. Different parts, Jersey, LA, and Florida, but we get around.
What nights are you working? If you're commuting from Jersey,
Weekends.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So
you have 3 nights.
Oh,
What
wow.
a fucking
I
great
fly out
gig
on
that
Friday.
is.
Yeah, Friday. Yeah, it's wonderful.
magical.
Because comedians
sweet.
do residencies like you got to do like a 10 o'clock show Sunday and then a matinee Thursday.
No, they
Yeah.
talked about us doing 2 shows, but I think somebody forgot that we sing for a living. And it's very difficult to sing 2 shows as hard as we go
Yeah,
in 2 days. So we decided to go with the just Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
One show a night.
That's
Yeah,
right.
one
Oh,
show,
what an
that's it.
amazing
Yes,
fucking
yes,
gig
yes,
that
it's
is.
great.
We should-
And then
Just
you're
been a
home for
lip
the
sync
week.
group.
They were home for
Yeah.
the week.
Yeah, you guys don't lip sync?
No, we tried.
No, we tried.
It's just
Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, it's just one of those things where because we're singers, we don't lip sync it the same way. So we would screw it up. The track would be one thing, and Wanye would be doing something over here, and it wouldn't
I probably
match.
never do like the same thing. Like maybe like you might hear the same thing like maybe twice, but not the third, fourth time. You'd be like, okay. So it would never like match. Never.
Do you get frustrated when you see other groups that are like obviously lip syncing? Like it seems much they could do 7 shows a
No,
night if they
that's
want.
not something we're
Yeah.
jealous of
Yeah.
because that's
It's
just
not
never
so-
been a thing. Like it's cool for them and it works for them or whatever. But like it's almost like if somebody said, "Man, you jealous that dude smoking crack?"
I would probably say yes because I'd love to do it and not be homeless. It's fun.
Right, just to get the good part.
Yes, indeed.
Do you guys ever have to? I'm sure you do. Like where if it's a solo singer, if the voice isn't, I'm sure one of you guys will have a night where your voice is not good, or you're cracking, so the other guys will just pick it up. Or
Yeah.
We definitely shuffle parts around a lot. I mean, another thing too is we do Vegas on the weekends, but we do like a bunch of different corporate stuff. I mean, like this weekend we're not in Vegas, but we're doing an event in DC for the United Way. So we kind of jump around and do a lot of different stuff like that throughout the week. So we may not even go home that week. We may do Vegas on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we're somewhere else Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then right back to Vegas.
Have you all maintained? Sorry, have you guys all maintained friendships in a band? It's so difficult. I know we talk about. I'm fascinated by bands that can make it work, and I know Michael McCary is out of the band with the group. But how do you guys do it without fighting among each other?
I mean,
we fight.
We definitely fight. We don't fist fight or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, we're too old for that. But we definitely, we hash out our problems with conversations, argument every now and then. But we respect each other, and we're brothers. You know what I'm saying? Just like anybody, any family that might get into something and clear it up, because we know what our goal is to love one another and to do music. So it's really a simple thing. Just respect somebody and then let them be who they are.
Give a grown man his space.
Give a grown man his space.
In any relationship, the smartest thing to learn is to learn to agree to disagree. A lot of people say that they know how to do that, but they'll disagree and then they'll walk away and they'll carry something. We understand that we're not going to agree all the time, and we'll argue it out to the end. I mean, almost like heartfully, to where it seems like it's escalating. But at the end of the day, when a guy knows that the other guy's not budging and the other guy's not budging, we just don't agree, and that's okay.
You got to say, all right, what's more important here, winning the argument or possibly, or just going, all right, well, it is what it is.
26 years is what's important for us.
Yeah. Fortunately, we don't have a bunch of guys that we all think we're right.
Yeah.
That's what breaks groups apart. You got one guy that says, I'm right, and then you got another guy that says, I'm right. You know, that whole thing, and they break up. So it's just one of those things where you kind of you have to have some level of compromise and take away the ego, because this industry, entertainment industry, not just music, but acting, comedy, the whole night. It's built on sometimes inflated egos and things of that nature, and sometimes it can kind of run amok.
And what do you argue about the most? What is the thing that?
It varies.
Yeah,
it really varies.
It depends
because
on
it's
the day.
different it's different topics and different things we have to face every day. So there might be certain things that one person might, creative, or
it could be the biggest or the smallest, and then like Sean said, it even depends on how you feel that day. It might be something you may not even think about arguing about that day, but because you're in a certain mood, that bothers you. So it kind of, it's just like a family thing. It's like I said, man.
Sometimes someone's just getting on your nerves.
When you learn to agree to disagree, it helps things move along, and you just go along with it.
Now, are you guys all single, or are you married?
I am single.
You're saying, okay, so you're still enjoying, because let's be honest. I mean, you guys still have women that will come and see you, and groupies who have been fans and younger.
I mean, I enjoy. I've been in relationships and things like that. For me, right now, I enjoy being at a point in my life where women always get crazy when you say, oh, he just doesn't want to be obligated. I don't think obligated is a bad word. It's okay to be obligated, but at the end of the day, I'm more obligated to these guys I grew up with for the last 26 years of my life. Anything that comes in my life comes after them. And there are some people that can deal with that, and there's some people that can't. So at the end of the day, for me, as long as I got my guys, I can figure out everything else.
Did you go through your crazy times, though, where you were just running amok and banging everything? Yeah,
yes,
you did.
Yeah, we were young. He said no. Yeah, we did. We were young. We did crazy stuff. I mean, we just, it wasn't the internet age, so you didn't find out everything that we did. And thank God you didn't. But we were literally Boyz II Men, and we were doing Boyz II Men stuff. So now we're men, and we have the internet, and we're not going to let you know what it was.
He said, we're not going to let you.
Were you ever doing Boyz II Men stuff all at the same time, or was it separated?
Yeah, was there ever a girl who walked out feeling like, I don't know why I just did that?
Nah.
Sang that answer.
Not that. Harmonized.
We've never done that.
You never
done that.
Never showed a girl the end of the road all at the same time.
And even if we did, we don't want that random chick to come out of nowhere.
It's that day and age, boy. You won't even know what you did. I did that.
I've been traumatized.
You're going to jail.
Isn't it weird someone coming back 20 years later and saying that, and then did that happen?
Weird
I don't
on
even know.
any circumstance, but I mean, as a person, I think it really depends on the situation. There are some situations that traumatize people to the point where they're not able to come out in that way, and then there are some situations where some people, i.e. Monica Lewinsky, that just sit around and wait. So, I mean, there's always people on different sides of the fence. You just got to weed out how it goes.
But isn't it weird, too, like you're in a band and you're famous, and let's say you had a girl one night back in 2001, and you didn't know that she wasn't 100% on board, but she was just a fan. Like, you have no way of knowing, because you're like, come on, and she's like, all right.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I feel bad about that, and you don't know.
And then you say to yourself, you don't want, let's just say something did happen. You don't want to lie about it, but you didn't know that was a circumstance. You'd be like, yeah, something did happen, but I didn't know she wasn't cool with it. it.
Juan has an alternative view.
I mean, just more so. My thing was always if you create a connection, you know what I mean, some sort of dialogue, understanding that this is what the circumstances are, and you don't divert from that. You know what I'm saying? Most of the times, someone comes to your room, they came to your room to, do whatever. But, if you bring them up to your room with false pretenses or make them, you know what I'm saying?
There's a big difference between...
Don't bring them up to watch your new video.
Yeah,
and
that's not what it is. You know what you're about to do, right?
We're not here to listen to your music.
Yeah. So, they have understanding, you have an understanding, and then you create a friendship that way because you don't start the whole thing off with a lie.
You don't want to start with a lie.
Remember, too, the only tough part is that sometimes those pretenses are set up, but then you got those people who are a little bit left that their pretenses weren't really that. It was something else, and you kind of got caught in it.
Well,
No system's perfect.
Yeah, no system's perfect, but you got to vet them out.
Have you guys ever gotten robbed?
Yes.
Like you always hear about the girls that like they go up
By
and then
girls, no.
you fall asleep.
No, not
and,
that. No.
But by guys, you did.
Well, not so much. I wouldn't even say robbed per se. I mean, this is before Boyz II Men.
Sure.
But I mean, as far as Boyz II Men, I mean, something might have got taken out of your room, but not like robbed, like right up to you, like, hey, give it to me, kind of.
What happened to you?
I have.
Okay, where were you?
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was in Philly.
Philly's a rough place,
yeah,
man.
it was in Philly, and it was in my old neighborhood. How crazy is that? And these guys,
his own friend.
no, right? I known him for 30 years. There was these guys, I guess, that was following us. Me and my security at the time, and you gotta understand, like at that time, I think the only 3 guys in Philadelphia that had a V12 S600 was myself, Nathan, and Allen Iverson.
And me, I had one.
And well, the
Oh,
Coops.
you had the SL.
The coupe.
Yeah, we're talking
I had that.
So,
I had the S.
so I'm driving one summer day, and this black Volvo cuts us off. It's 4 guys jump out with guns, basically telling us, run your shit, give me your fucking money, give me your, going crazy.
And they knew it was one. It was
they,
you.
they didn't know. They thought because they kept asking, "Where's the money?" They thought I was a drug dealer. I guess drug dealers drive around with a bunch of money in the back of their trunk. So they took my earrings, they took my chain, they ran my pockets or whatever, and they took my car. But before they took my car, the guy had the gun to my chest, and his boys was egging him on, shoot that motherfucker, shoot him. And when all this was going on, it's a weird place you're in when that happens. You're not scared. You're more like in shock.
Sure.
Like, wow, this don't happen to me. Like this stuff you see on television. Like you don't get robbed like this. Like this is none. And he had the gun right to my chest. Obviously, he didn't shoot me, but he hopped in the car, drove off for about a block, and then got out the car because he probably realized that with that car, they would have got picked up in 2 minutes. So they got out the car and jetted. But yeah, I got robbed.
So when you were already obviously in the group, you're famous. Is there a moment for you where you want to go, hey, I'm in this group, like not to feel like I'm more important?
I didn't. No. It was more or less. I was more or less like,
oh Jesus, it does sing every hit on the fucking radio.
just hoping that keeps you alive.
no. But you know what? I was more or
How
less.
do I? Come on, you know me. Look, say goodbye.
Right. Maybe I should have did that. But
please.
I was more or less just trying to get them out of my face. It was more or less like, dude, take the car. I'll get another. Take the car. Take whatever you need. Sure. Just take it and roll. But don't shoot me.
Don't shoot. And the guys, how offensive is that the guys are encouraging the other guys?
They were egging this fool on with the gun to my chest.
No regards for life, man. Yeah. Some people have no regards, and they're not brought up in a way to see life as valuable. You know what I mean? They're not brought up, and unfortunately, you know what I mean. There's innocent people that are, you know what I mean, that are caught up in their minds of, the craziness in their minds, and it's just a shame.
When was this?
This was a long time ago. This was like 94, 95.
Oh, so this was right in the
midst of it. But you know what though? It taught me a lot. It first off, it made me realize that
I gotta get out of Philly.
Well, that was one because I did leave.
Yeah.
But that was years later. But to just be careful out here because people don't care. And it's even worse now. People don't really care. People look at other celebrities and other artists as food. So they don't care. They don't care who you are, whatever. If they get an opportunity to gank you, they will. And you just got to be careful out here.
Buddy of mine in Brooklyn, he's a comedian. He said that Slick Rick was doing a thing. It was in one of the projects in Brooklyn. He was performing, and guys were getting together. They wanted to rob him. And some big gangster from the wherever they were said you can't. He came to entertain. You can't rob it. But if it wasn't for that guy, they were going to rob him coming out. Wow. Philadelphia is a rough place. Did any of you guys ever think of because like some of the best boxers in the world come from Philly?
That's right.
Did any of you guys ever train or think of it?
Not professionally. No.
But it seems like you have to be able to fight if you grew up in Philadelphia.
You got to throw hands. You got to know how to throw hands.
I grew up in South Philly, so I mean, I kind of didn't have a choice. It was one of those.
Is that the roughest area of Philly?
Well, actually, north, south, kind of like on that border.
Wine came out of the three of us. Wine came from the toughest spot.
It's one of those areas where you got to know. I mean, either let's put it this way: if you don't, you're going to by the time you become a certain age because it just happens every day.
Because you're going to get beaten up if you don't fight.
You fight and figure it out, and they leave you alone. Same thing your mom always said: you better go or not go because they're going to do it every single day.
You're literally thrown into the pit.
Fight.
Like you got to fight. Like, there's certain places, certain moments where you got to knuckle up, or
Were you bullied at all or no? Were they trying to?
When I was younger, I did, but I mean, like I said, I learned fast. I mean, I used to live in Southwest Philly. When I moved to South Philly, it was a different ball game for me. I mean, dudes was fighting every single day. I had no choice. It was like you either get in it or you just gonna be the one getting beat up every day. So I wasn't standing for that.
Having your lunch money or whatever taken,
So when you guys start singing, like, was there any part of you or any member of the group that was like, no, we can't do this like singing stuff. We have to do something with like bravado. We got to be tough guys.
No, you know what's funny? I'm gonna tell you, like, because I come from Southwest Philly, and I used to go to like the Philadelphia Boys Choir, which, if anybody knows anything about that, is one of the whitest things you could ever do. But as a black kid. So, I would take the train into the Broad Street sub and all this. That's the 2 hours to get to this place. And my neighborhood friends knew that I did that. And they encouraged me. They were like, yo, man, do it. Like, you got a voice, you got a talent. Like, mine
was the exact opposite. Mine was the exact opposite. I mean, I was leaving my ghetto to do that. And it wasn't like his. I wish it was like his where they encouraged me. It was like, why are you going over there?
So you're looked at as like you're selling out and you're leaving, and with you, the guys are saying it's great.
Yeah, they were totally cool with it. I mean, I rapped a little bit too, but I also sang, and they were cool with it, and it was fine, especially when they found out that we got a record deal. Of course, you had a couple of naysayers. Oh,
that's when they came around.
You ain't signed to no Motown records, man.
Yeah.
That whole thing. But even then, like, they came around and said, "Yo, we proud of you." And that was that. Like,
is that signed you guys Motown Records at first?
Yeah, first. Yeah. That was our first label.
I still live in the projects.
He's a liar.
No, I mean, it was different for me, but my grandmom and my mom, they always kept me away from. They didn't want me to go to school down there where I lived. They didn't want me to go to the rec centers where everybody went. I went to like Freedom Theater and a bunch of like Martin Luther King type stuff. You know what I'm saying? It was just everything was black, and I was cool with it, but I like just the artistic expression of it all. You know what I'm saying? And I grew up in the hood. I mean, that's where I'm from. You know what I mean? That's the hood is where I grew up, but the mentality was not born and bred in me. It was, of course, survival was the key. You know what I mean? But under the circumstances, it was more so, it was a stepping stone. I knew that there was something else, you know what I mean? Because my parents, my grandmother, and my mom, and all the people that, Miss Virginia and all these people that lived in that area, they always wanted me to do something different because I had an exceptional gift, you know what I mean? So,
sure.
Plus, once you start having hits and you're still kind of shouting out where you're from and not like, denying that part and then bringing... going back to where you grew up for the videos and stuff like that. I'm assuming.
That's one.
That's us before.
That's one thing about us is we've always tried to bring them along. I mean, no matter what we went through in the streets, I mean, in everything we've gone through, we understand that without those things, they wouldn't have made us the human beings that we are. I mean, we all go through good things and bad things, and without Philly, our personality, who we are, our perseverance, our being able to overcome when things don't go well. I mean, the streets taught us a lot to be able to do what what we do.
Why'd you say Philly rejected you though?
I mean, it was just like a lot of things that we would want to do in Philly. I guess in the beginning they didn't really believe too much, so we would want to do like videos in certain places, and they'd be like, "No."
I think it was more or less them not really the industry is so misunderstood, like in many aspects. Like a lot of people think that, oh, you're signed to a record deal, you're rich, or they'll say certain things about the industry. Well, you can't do that because we don't want this to happen, and there's so many misconceptions about the game. So I think Philadelphia, which is an old town, and it was run by a bunch of old people. They didn't really get this. They didn't really understand what a music video was and why you need to block out a street. And so a lot of those concepts were still fairly new to the civilian world.
But you got to remember, too, the issue, too, is that it had a lot to do with urban artists as well, because there were people shooting in Philly, you know what I'm saying? There just weren't, urban artists, and instantly you see a black group, you think, oh, they're going to come in here with the hip-hop riff-raff or whatever.
It's a lot of that.
It took us trying to prove to them that that's not, we're R&B singers. We sing, you know what I'm saying? So, like Juan said, it was a while for them to jump on board to understand that we weren't what they so-called thought were offensive to anything at that point.
And you guys have a new album coming out tomorrow. It's called Under the Streetlight, and you're going to be at Barnes & Noble on 5th Avenue tomorrow at noon for a meet and greet photo op. Is the 5th Avenue Barnes & Noble, that's not the one in Union Square, is it? Or no, where is that 5th Avenue
We
one?
don't live here. So
okay, I should probably ask you through Philly.
It's somewhere in New York. Y'all just trying to figure it out.
It's between Broad Street and Vine.
more.
Yes,
It's right by us, yeah.
It is, yeah, I thought so. Okay, 45th
Couple blocks
Street.
down. Did you ever get, because now that you're at this place where you've got the show in Vegas and you're doing corporate gigs, I mean, the money must be incredible. When you said there's corporate gigs too.
Yeah.
But did you get to a place where like you're like, I never want to perform End of the Road again. I never want to do Motown Philly. Like,
here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm not saying that we don't get tired. I think we just get tired. But
I see.
Let's be honest. We are 3 black guys from Philadelphia.
That's how we promote our show.
The odds. How's it going? The odds and the odds of us succeeding were slim to none. We were blessed to have a hit record that charted for 13 weeks and beat Elvis Presley's record. We will sing that song until our voices go out. Yeah. That is the truth. Like we understand the value of what has happened to us, and we do not take it for granted. So
a lot of times you do hear, at least at some point in people's careers, like they start to feel entitled about what they've accomplished, and they lose perspective on that this wasn't supposed to happen.
26 years later.
It was a lot of hard work, there's you get fatigued, but you don't get stupid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You guys, you're ranked 4th all time for time spent at number 1. I mean, it's phenomenal when you look at the company.
It's special, man. I mean, it's things that we never really thought about until we kind of, I guess we say, kind of taking a step out of the so-called recording business, because we make records, but we're really in the performing business. And you look back and you look at stuff like that, 16 weeks, 13 weeks, 14 weeks. I mean, that's almost 52 weeks. It's almost a whole year at number 1. So, I mean, there are things now that we share with our kids that we never thought about back then, because we always just focused on getting in rehearsal, being the best group we could be, sounding different than anybody else, and we never cared about anything else. So people always ask, when you look back, did you have time to enjoy it? We had some time, but now we have more time than ever to look back and see the things that we've done. And
the guy who left, Mike McCary, left your band. Why did he leave the band?
There were a few reasons. One, first off, Mike he never really had the same drive as we did. Like, he kind of got into this somewhat by default. Like, he had a low voice, he had a bass note that made our harmony sound amazing. And it's not to discredit his involvement with the group, because he was a huge part of what Boyz II Men, was at first. But again, the love just wasn't there as much. And it started to show throughout the years, not to mention physically, he had like some ailments that mentally took him out of it, where he didn't even want to do it more. And it just got to a point where we had to make a decision.
And it's a literal marriage. It's one of those things where, there are people that say their vows, through good and bad and sickness and health. and they stay there. And then there are some that break those vows and are not there the good times and the bad times. They're just there for the good times, and that's kind of where we.
Because just to jump in. There were some times where things weren't all that good. You know what I mean? We went through some really humbling experiences.
Do you mean of when things kind of dipped?
The decline was hard, and we were supposed to stick together in that decline. We were supposed to, kind of like, ride it out and, be
like we're doing right now.
Like we're doing, you know what I mean? And we did that, you know what I mean? And while we were working and hustling and trying to make it happen, he wasn't there.
Okay, yeah.
And under the circumstances, you don't come to work. Unfortunately, you just don't get paid.
How do you have that conversation where you tell a guy you have to leave? Like, do you say, well, all three of us are going to get together? Does he know it's coming, or what's that moment like?
One thing about us is that we never hid anything from anybody. I mean, we'll tell you straight up, because that's what's kept us grounded and together for 26 years. Is that I can say whatever I need to say to any one of them, and they can say it to me. And we don't really care what your response is, because this is just how we feel. So we were able to address that with him. That kind of like Juan said. I mean, you're not pulling your weight. You need to do the things that need to be done, or otherwise, it's going to be a problem for us. We've got to do something different. And then, he kind of disappeared and kind of extinguished itself in a way.
But there was an option there. Like, if he would have said, all right, you guys are right.
There was
numerous times, Sean, and we all just like, yo, dude, just come to the building.
Yeah.
It was a big option for him. He just decided. I think in his head, he almost felt kind of what you guys were saying earlier about the little ego thing. I think in his mind, he felt that, okay, they're going to need me. And that didn't happen yet. And I mean, not being sarcastic. It was a struggle creating the identity around the three. But it's weird when you look at our career after 26 years. You probably don't understand, but Mike has been away longer than we've been a group. In other words, he left in 2000. That's almost 18 years ago.
Yeah. And that's interesting too, because like you said, there is this kind of dip, and then if you can hold out, you come back because people remember. They're like, "Oh, you know what was great?" And then all of a sudden, and then you can create this whole new wave. But the last thing you want is the guy that wasn't there in the dip to just pop back up, because then you guys resent him. And
the crazy thing about it is that during that time, I mean, of course, there were doubts in our minds, but, like you said, you stick in there and, you take that ride the way back up. The reason why we stuck around, in all honesty, and it sounds cliche, and, you might think we're bull crapping, man, but it's the fans. It's like remembering the smiles, remembering the tears, remembering, people coming up to you and saying, your music saved our lives, and realizing that it wasn't us. It was the music, and it was God that, gave us these records and gave us the ability to be able to touch people. And honestly, I mean, we broke up like numerous times, like 5 minutes each time we broke up. And the only reason why we decided to stay together is because we knew we had, well, first of all, we loved the way we sound together, that I don't think we would ever find that with anybody else. And also just remembering the fan.
It sounds kind of, it is true what Juan is saying, but it even sounds like kind of weird to even mention these things, because thanks to social media and just the world's status in general, like everything's become so callous, and everything is not as everything has to be ratchet, and everything has to be raw, and all these other like demeaning and crazy things, you know what I'm saying? Because normally a person would say, no, it's about the money. That's why we stayed together and all, like, but honestly, the truth is that is what Juan really said, but it still sounds kind of weird, because listening to things and hearing how the status of just entertainment is, everything is just so opposite now. It's so
because
cutthroat.
at the time there was no real money to stick around on. You know what I mean?
Right. So it wasn't about the money.
We could have probably got jobs individually and made more money.
We have about 2 minutes left before we have to wrap up because our show ends. Yeah. One quick question though: what was the first moment because you guys had such success? What was the first moment you noticed, like, something is changing? And like when you started,
I was gonna ask, like, what was the prom song? Because you guys had a run of like you owned the prom for years.
It was. I mean,
so what was the prom song that came out that you guys were like, wait a minute, we got to figure out what the next thing is for us?
You know,
now?
it's funny. Most people would think End of the Road. I mean, me personally, I think that we had a very successful first album. But it's one of those things that if you've never had it before, you still don't know how to feel it. You know, we sold 12 million records. We were like, it was good, yay, but we never knew how many we were supposed to sell in the first place. But when I'll Make Love to You came and that second album came and it just took off, in my mind, it was like, oh, it's like, if you do it twice, that makes you feel like, okay, now this is a whole different ball game now. The first time could be a fluke, but the second time, and then the records start coming. I'll Make Love to You, doing just fine. Like all those records start coming. Water Runs Dry. All those records start coming, and it was like, it was a whirlwind. I mean, we went on the tour for almost 3.5 years at that point and didn't even go home.
What was the song that came out from another artist that made you guys realize that the whirlwind was ending?
Slowing down, yeah.
And that we need to,
I think it was 50
50 Cent.
Nah, I think it was before that. It was when
like, I'm into
the
having sex. I ain't into making love.
I think
shit.
but you know I think it was before that. I think it was the boy band era.
Oh yeah.
When NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and all those guys came out, because you got
I thought we could coexist.
yeah, but
honestly.
it slowly made us realize that wasn't the case, because it was like the industry itself kind of moved forward into something else, to another
Pushing
phase,
you, yeah.
and that's when the current started to push us away.
Yeah.
We have to wrap up. We have less than a minute. You guys are great, man. I want to go see you in Vegas.
Please do.
Yeah,
Please
man,
do.
come hang out.
Under the Streetlight, the new album. It's out tomorrow. You guys have just put out great music for a long, long time.
It's a
Thanks,
doo-wop
Jay.
album, man.
And-
It's real cool.
And tomorrow, you can, if you want to meet these guys, there will obviously be people there, but it's a great Barnes & Noble. It's on 5th Avenue at noon for a meet and greet and photo op. And
Say what's up,
come
Dappers.
down.
What's
Yeah,
up?
why
Yes.
not? I mean, you guys are a really nice dude. I'm heading out to Minnesota. I'll be at the Pantages Theater Friday, and I'll be in
Twin
Madison,
Cities.
Wisconsin on Saturday.
Yes. And we'll be here tomorrow, and I'll be at the Highline Ballroom on Tuesday night. HighlineBallroom.com.
All right.
Thanks,
thank
everybody.
you. See you
man.
later.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, man.
Thanks, guys.
Oh my God, it's over.
This has been Jim Norton and Sam Ruff.
Network Radio gets you ready for the first pitch live from the ballpark on Sirius 209 XM 89. Tomorrow, ALCS Game 6, Houston Astros, New York Yankees at 5 p.m.